to get us started, I have a story to tell. And it involves high school, which I don't talk about a lot because not a lot of good things happen in high school. But there was this one time. It was senior year, and me and my high school boyfriend David had decided to get a band together for the sole purpose of playing old rock songs in the fall talent show. And so David was a really good guitar player. He owned an Epiphone Casino, which was John Lennon's guitar. And he also had an actual bowl cut because he loved the Beatles that much. It was not a cool haircut, but that's how much he loved them. And so obviously he was going to play guitar. I owned a bass guitar, I think like every person in high school, and I was well versed in reading bass guitar tabs on the internet. So clearly, like, I was going to be the bass player. And then we convinced David's friend Sean who had like perfect later Beatles sideburns, to be our singer, despite the fact that like he told us over and over again that he might bail like right before we went on stage because he had such stage fright. And we were like, that probably won't happen. No, you're in. You look like our singer. And for the drummer, we were kind of we didn't have any options for our retro vibe, so we settled on Matt, who played drums exactly like the guy from Limp Bizkit. It was 2002, so like Limp Bizkit technically was more popular than the Beatles. It was a really dark time, some of you might recall. So we had our band, and so the tryouts for the talent show were just 2 days before the talent show. It was all very informal, and so because we were procrastinating seniors, by the time tryouts came, we hadn't even decided what songs we were going to play, let alone rehearse. But David's like, it's fine. When it's our turn to go up, I'll just go on stage and like mess around on my guitar and be like a placeholder. But then that day, we'll all be on stage playing. And that's what he did. He went on stage and just acted like this was our act. And he like very seriously started playing Blackbird by the Beatles, obviously. And but he wasn't the only person on stage. Just the front part of the stage was being used for tryouts, and behind it was a big like auditorium like stage, and behind there were other people kind of milling around and rehearsing their acts before they went up. And so it just so happened that directly behind him there were break dancers rehearsing their routine. And so like essentially David played Blackbird, this solemn acoustic song, and there was a bunch of people breakdancing to it. And I'm like watching this and I'm laughing, like no one else is even noticing the funny scene happening. And I have this great idea, and I suddenly want to do another act in the talent show, and I run and I fill out a form, which is what you had to do, and I ask the teacher, Foster, who's in charge of the talent show, like, I don't have it ready right now, but can I do this other thing? It'll be ready in 2 days. And he said yes, because he was very old, and it was fine. And also, like, I don't know if it's still like this, but seniors just do kind of what they want in high school. Like, old teacher plus seniors, it was, yeah. So, the day the talent show comes. And the band that we had made ended up playing Love Me 2 Times by the Doors and All Day and All Night by the Kinks, because those are songs you could learn in one night. And so that's why we played those. And the Doors, it went fairly well, but by the time we started with the Kinks, Sean's stage fright just like got the best of him, and he forgot all the words, and he just started screaming at the top of his lungs for the whole song. So it was like death metal Kinks. And it just made it so much better than anything we could have hoped for. So one victory down. Okay, so then later in the talent show, It's time for my idea. And my idea is a sketch starring David, myself, and our friend Jason. And remember, this was inspired by breakdancers. So Jason comes out first, and he's just really serious, and he sits on a stool and he says, this is a love song I wrote. And he starts playing this very sad little love song ditty on his acoustic guitar. And behind him, David and I are having a picnic. We start having a picnic, and we have this whole silent scene behind him. First with us, like, flirting and being in love, and he gives me flowers. And then he says something wrong, and so we get into this, like, blistering fight. And we're just, like, tearing from one end of the stage to the other. And at one point, we're standing over Jason, like, fighting. And, like, Jason, it's silent, so Jason's just, like, wistfully staring off into space. And the crowd, which is just our classmates, they're, like, in the palm of our hands. Like, when we're flirting, they're like, woo! And when we're fighting, they're cracking up. And then when we finally make up, everyone cheers. And that wasn't my first time being funny on stage, but it was my first time performing something that I had come up with. And it kind of gave me a clue of, like, what I'm supposed to be doing on stage, because no one cares if I can read bass guitar tabs past high school. And being in plays is cool, but for me the joy is being spontaneous and coming up with things myself. So I want to, and I remember when it went so well, I had this, it was like it felt so good, it was like a new feeling, like I never felt anything like that before. So I want to shout out to David, wherever he is. I'll pretend that I haven't ever Facebook stalked him and I don't know already. And also, shout out to Centerline High School for loving their first idea, because it set me on this path. So that's my first story. Woo!